Hello everyone, I'm Sanika here from the Media and Public Relations Cell of NIT Warangal. Today we have with us Mr. Shivaji, who is a noted alumni from the graduating batch of 1991-95. He's a private pilot and also the founder of MapRecruit.ai. So let's get started. We have Mr. Shivaji here, who is an alumni from the graduating batch of 1991-95.
Correct.
So welcome back to NIT Warangal, sir.
Thank you.
So how does it feel to be back after so many years?
Yeah, it's pretty much nostalgic, I would say, and pretty excited. And first of all, I'm honored to be here. I think so. During my a month back conversation with the respected director, Vijayadhar Subudhi, so he was mentioning about this thought, and then I felt very happy in sharing my experiences with the alma mater alumni. So definitely, I'm pretty excited to be here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, after so many years, the campus has changed so much. The area has changed so much.
Yes,
So,
it did.
so we're very curious to know, like, maybe a couple of stories from back in your days, like when you were doing your BTech.
Sure, definitely. So first of all, I think the overall entry or even the administrative building and things that didn't change. It's pretty much kept intact with the same branding. But what I changed the C is basically entire hostel. The overall we used to have hostels like in the different halls. Now it's pretty much like more of a memory naming 1.8K. So it's similar to like our floppy disk memory 1.44 MB. And the other things like the computer buildings, we used to go and then book the slots, but now everybody has a computer. So a lot of changes, but I see the change is good for the innovation of the alumni.
We know that you are a mediator, a private pilot. So, how did you venture into that?
Yeah, sure. So I always was following my skill. That is actually whatever that I have learned or experienced, which was pretty much the programming side of it. But I always had this passion because we lived in the ages where there are no so many planes to experience it, and then even not much of digital activity at the time. So being a pilot is always was my passion. And then when I got into it, and then I felt it was straightforward like getting a car license, but it is not at all. It's pretty damn costly, and then very time consuming and effort activity. But I have received it, and then the beauty is after that, in the sense like whenever I'm flying my own plane, the aerodynamics and then the understanding the overall nature, the weather, the overall calculations that we had to make before we get into the flight, because you cannot make any more predictions post that. So you need to be very well thoroughly planned before jumping into the flight. So I fly Cessna 172. So that is the personal flight, and I do that. And then getting into it and then experiencing on a continuous basis is like an amazing lively feeling. Thank you.
So, sir, as a private pilot and an entrepreneur, you seem to balance your technical skills with your passion.
Yes.
So, I wanted to ask how you balance, your hobbies and how you integrate them into your professional life, and how does that, how do you approach your business and innovation through that?
Absolutely, that's a great question. So, being a pilot, as I said, it requires a lot of planning and systematic study. So there is something called currency and fluency. So it's like how current you are in doing it, and then how experienced you are with a specific skill. So these two, we need to continuously balance it out in the sense like we need to make sure that the hobby that is actually the pilot, but the skill that we are getting is the preparation organized, and then taking it further. While we are in the air, how you make the decisions, the emergency process. So we need to plan things ahead for both good and bad situations. We cannot just assume that things will always go right, because there is always north and there is a south. We can go either way. So when it comes to the entrepreneurship, as I mentioned, like I'm pretty much into a software side of it as a CEO, as well as aviation CEO and the venture capital. So what I always look at is in this thing, like how serious the skill that individual has got, the founder. Because unless there is a proper skill, and he or she cannot really build a wonderful company. So that's why I would mention to alumni here is like you are the chosen one. Sort of more than 1 million people writing these competitive exams, and you are the chosen like 24,000 vacancies in the all NITs across India, and they have got into it. That means you can definitely achieve that. You already proved the skill. So among all the millions, and now it's time to incorporate that as part of the entity startup that you are planning for it. But thing is, we need to think end to end. So we cannot simply take one step at a time. We have to think end to end and then drive it, plan all the positives and negatives, and then drive it. That's how I try to handle my startups. That's why I could able to build about 5. And today, from my very first company salary, about 5,000 rupees, when I was teaching in one of the training institute called AppTech. So now I own more than 30 million US dollars investable money. So which means I'm into ultra high net worth individual category. So what the money is only the buy factor. So it'll come if you just put that skill in the proper organized way, I would say.
Right, sir. So it's kind of like that one saying from Three Idiots where it's like excellence ke piche bhago.
Absolutely.
Success aa jayegi.
Success, absolutely, you said it.
Right, sir. So you've navigated various industries from like civil engineering to venture capital. So I wanted to ask you if you could share some specific instance where you took like a significant risk that completely paid off, and like how you would approach, decision making in situations like that.
Oh yeah, very much. It's again another important question, and then it also I help. It will help motivate the alumni also. So when I started, obviously from NIT Warangal, I graduated. So I was looking out for my core jobs, civil and things like that. So where I could not find, I had multiple options to choose from to either go to abroad for further studies or work or write a civil services. But when I have chosen all the options, I have decided, after looking at the end-to-end process of civil services, I said, okay, it doesn't fit to my role. Then I have taken up the going abroad. So I worked with a company called Cisco Systems in California for about 6 years, because I have promised my dad that I will be back after 6 years. So I kept my promise in coming back to India. And then, so after then I took one of the big position in a company called Semantic Space. It's started by our alma mater, so Satya Boli. And so I went to that company for a vacancy called product manager. But my interview started morning 9, and then I went out from the office with a offer letter for vice president product engineering. So I was always, believe in my skill and then just, doing my job. And then you can look at it from the product manager to vice president, right? That's kind of an offer. And then, so when the biggest risk I have taken up is when I wanted to start a company, especially. And it was also my proud moment when I kind of converted myself from job seeker to job creator. Because so far I was just seeking a job from somebody, and then I was happy with the 9-to-5 cycle. And then, so obviously I might have got various immortal assets. And suddenly I was locked into a debt, right? So it's how you come out of that. So there was a book at the time which actually triggered and then also pricked my ego. It's called Orbit Shifting. So it says basically, we are in a comfortable situation in taking a salary on the 1st of every month and then spending it and then again waiting for that. And then while in the meantime, we are kind of accruing various assets that really keeps us into the loop, right? How do you come out of it and then take a tangential route to move into an entrepreneurship? That was the biggest decision for me. That ego, kind of challenged my status quo, and then I started it. That is when I kind of sold one of my asset and then kind of kept enough funds. So there was a mantra my previous mentor Satya Boli told me that you need to keep 2.5 crores 2.5 years, and so don't give up pretty fast, right? So try to stick to it with your own idea and then prove it. So that actually gave me. But in the meantime, like I received my revenue for the company within a year. So I kind of broke even within 1 year. And then since then I was making profit. And then that company kind of now made me ultra high net worth individual. The risk, I would say, you have to take it any time in the life you want to really see an evolution of yourself. But what I advise to alumni is you're already touched the rock bottom. This is the rock bottom from where we will grow. So I would say, it's better to take the risk now and then venture into something of very passionate for you, and then which matches to the skill, and then deliver it better, I would say. So that was the biggest risk in my life, but it was the biggest change I made it happen, that made me be here, I would say.
So throughout your career, so I want to ask if there have been any mentors or individuals who have significantly influenced your professional development.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what advices or insights did they impart that stayed with you like even till now?
Sure. So I think, so let me put it this way, right? I think during the school days, and obviously it's more of a teachers that were just going with the stick and carrot approach. This is the NIT Warangal has given me scope for me to be an individually decision making person, right? And then they were only giving me an overall idea how to analyze things. The engineering taught me. That was obviously I give the first mentorship credit to the professors of NIT Warangal for sure, because most of our wake hours or even sleep hours here, pretty much we lived that 4 years. That created a brand of who we are, coming out of from this premier institute, and which kind of given me the social respect as well. And then when we went into the professional world, yes, I met various great individuals. One I mentioned is Satya Bolli. He is our alma mater from electrical background. I don't remember the year that he passed, but he's one of the gold medalists at the time. And he started a company called Semantic Space, and now it's Prolifix. He taught me the idea of 2.5 crores, 2.5 years to start this startup thing. It was in 2011 or so that he taught me. It still stick with me, and then I maintain that how to manage the resources and then don't give up attitude in doing it. So that was one. And secondly, when I work with the US, there are plenty of people that I shared work experience with in Silicon Valley, California. It's an amazing workplace, work culture that I couldn't be able to get it here, because I would say they are real risk takers, right? So that's why they became rich. We are trying to be more safe. I wouldn't say I'm comparing only the olden days, not now. Because now India has more than 100 plus unicorns, and then we have plenty of startups. But thing is, we need to take up that approach of risk appetite approach, and then start new startups and live the life, because that's what makes you bring up in the society as well, become a rich. So I would give credit to these people. Silicon Valley, I have plenty of people that I met. So I don't recall one person. But yeah,
maybe that experience as a whole
absolutely
was like a mentor.
Absolutely, you said it correct.
Right,
yeah.
Sir.
Thank you.
Considered a crucial aspect of an entrepreneurship journey. So, can you share maybe a specific setback or failure that you faced, and how all the lessons you learned from it?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there is no startup which can able to grow without failure, for sure.
Right, sir.
And failure in a way that it's only that we have some expectations and something else happened. It's only a deviation, I would call it as. And then the deviations are very important from the planning till the outcome. That means we haven't studied, the market research has not been done, or even if it has been done, it could be done from very one angle of view. Okay, we need a realistic, holistic view about the situation and the industry, so that we can able to predict better. So the failures, absolutely, in some of my companies, I was under the impression that technology can solve the problem, as long as, because at the time when I started it, most of our competitor, when I have done the research, they're using pretty rudimentary manual approaches with a bunch of PhDs and then just working on it. Then at the time, the technology was also evolving. So we could able to get onto the bandwagon of utilizing the technology and build 10x productivity and 10x gains for our end users, compared to what the others could not able to do it, because they have already established business model, and the technology already built. It cannot be overnight changed. So that was one of the opportunity. But at the same time, I made a mistake that I built it. It's like you build it and they will come kind of attitude. Like, okay, you have a best technology product. Maybe we think that customer is not able to understand it. No, it's your storytelling is not able to reach them, and which is not motivating them to buy it, right? So that's where I learned various things of all 9 years of entrepreneurship, the sales, marketing, and we need to know it. It's not that you build it, they will come. It's how you do it. That was one failure or setback, and then I just quickly realized, and then kind of reached out to the clients, and then being part of the seminars, because you are the icon telling the story, being the founder and being the technocrat, we can able to tell the story better,
right,
than a regular any other marketing person or salesperson, because he doesn't understand the nuances of it. He can only talk about the outline benefits, but why it is important that other people cannot able to. So that's one of the mistakes, I would say, which I learned from, and then able to quickly react to it. So that made a success. Yeah. Okay.
So if you could embark on one audacious project or initiative, so what would it be, and like why would you embark on that?
Yeah. So any project that I take up, it's pretty much I look at professionally. I'm talking about. So I look at multiple factors, which I want to even convey to the startups as well. Like we need to look at the problem scope, how big the problem is. It's called usually TAM, total addressable market. That problem is being faced by, and then what is in terms of revenue, right? So for example, the HR tech space, when I have picked up, I felt it's a simple function that why am I getting into technology, bringing technology into this function. But it's about 400 billion market. And then aerospace, it's about $4 trillion market, right? So it's a problem statement is big. But again, after the TAM is being considered, we need to always take up a challenging task. It's not as simple like, I build a chatbot on an OpenAI, right? So ultimate knowledge and intellect is with OpenAI. We are only building a wrapper on top of it. It might not really fly well. So we need to always solve the critical problems. Like, we built a complete knowledge graph. So we have built it from the ground up, the entire technology, entire knowledge graph, and then built that the models, AI models on top of it. So that actually kind of kept us on the top 10 of the HR tech products in the world, top 10 HR tech products in the world. So what I suggest always is like, don't look for simple problem. Always take up a challenging task. So that will create a barrier to entry for other people to come. It also creates a moat. So that other person, even if they wanted to build it, you already have enough wisdom already built towards it. And third one is like, we need to look at either product or service. I always suggest to choose a product because it's a complex one. And once it is built and then with a high-end intellect, certainly, it has more marketable value than the service. Because once you take the people out of the service, what is left with the product company is pretty much, in the minuscule, right? So product or service. And then especially for the technology institutes like NIT, I suggest that they need to take up a deep tech space. So deep tech space can be in electronics, biotech, any technology space. That should be able to increase productivity in the terms of the magic number 10x. So anything that is being done, let's say, for example, if I give a simple example of memory floppy disk that we used to use, 1.44 MB was a floppy disk space memory, but the next version that we received was 120 MB. So then only people will buy. So minimum of 10x to 100 and above need to be, kind of a gain should be seen by the client. Then only you can able to make it happen. So that's, and then what I am kind of a products, then that basically I gave all the answers. I would choose a product in the deep tech space, and which is, they are solving the complex problem, having a best high-end TAM, total addressable market, and great moat.
So a lot of us students are currently in the, decision-making time of our lives,
yes,
which will, shape our entire career trajectory.
True.
So do you have any advice for us,
Absolutely.
students of NIT Warangal?
Very much. So I would say, let me just put the story juxtaposing two scenarios. What this alumni might be doing it, right? Suppose their graduation, most of the people would be choosing a job. So I will call them as job seekers. And few people might be starting their venture, job creators. So if you look at both the situations, with the routes that they choose, So job seekers might be finding a very comfortable job and then getting a best salary in the company, but they have to go into some kind of a routine training that the enterprise might be offering, and then they get into the track with or without knowing their interest or passion or things like that. Whereas a job creator might be struggling for a couple of years while building the startup, but once he makes it happen, he's going to make hundreds and thousands of times of a job seeker can earn. So if you look at, that's why the most of the rich people, nobody comes from being an employed 9 to 5. It's more like more of the entrepreneurs are the richest. So that's why we have, and then the entrepreneurs, basically the world is flat. So every person in the world knows Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Ratan Tata, Ambani's, for a reason, because it's a flat. It's not confined to, okay, I work for this company and only that company people might know. If I am a CEO of XYZ, only that employees would know me. So that kind of a barrier will not be there with the entrepreneurs. That's one. Second thing, why the NIT Warangal, I suggest that they have to start a venture, because they are the most chosen from these many possible candidates, millions of possible candidates. They have been, cracked this, the competitive exams to come into this premier institution. So, which means they have caliber to prove. So, and then I strongly suggest the first 1-2 years, first and second year, both, they need to focus on improving the skill. Third and finally, people should focus on starting a venture. So, they're not losing at least a couple of years after their graduation. They're at least trying it out and then understanding the nitty-gritties of it. And then they understand all the 9 years of making a company work. Let's assume that the job creator did not really perform well, and then his company did not do well. What happens, right? He can further do one more thing, the venture, and he can even take a job as well. When the job seeker lost a job, he gets laid off. It's very hard for this person to find a job versus a job creator, because job creator has more visibility and exposure to an enterprise, and he knows what is the value that he can contribute. So companies respect that. So, and I was also reading one article recently. In 2023, in the US, 106 billion funding has been given to the founders who are coming from Stanford, all the top 50 colleges. That clearly indicates that they are the chosen ones to get the funding done, because they already have proved to the world they have a caliber. So my strong suggestion is, find your own, the capability and then skill, start a venture, and go above the escape velocity, reach it. Right. That's my advice, I would say.
Right, so that was very insightful. Thank you very much for all the advice and for spending so much time with us to give us all of your...
It's my pleasure for my alumni. Thank you very much.